the Boundless Authenticity Podcast.
When you manifest, do you call in spirit? Do you imagine what you want? Do you use your right brain or your left brain? Well, I'm Laura Van Tyne, and I will be hosting a manifestation mastery course this coming January. And this isn't going to be your typical wishing and hoping and vision board kind of course. We're diving into strengthening our intuition, removing those pre-programmed belief structures, and working in the quantum field and more to help you achieve what you want and you deserve. Join us now by clicking on the link below.
Thanks for tuning in to the Boundless Authenticity Podcast. You don't have to go ahead and give this a like on whichever platform you're tuning in from, but it sure would be cool if you did. And I guess since it's not hurting anyone, you could sprinkle a little subscribe and share on top of that to make it even tastier. My guest this episode is Sarah Vanlaecken, also known as UFO Girly, who is a rising voice in the UFO community. She blends personal experiences, research, and a fearless curiosity to explore the mysteries of the cosmos, disclosure, and high strangeness. With her fresh and authentic perspective, Sarah invites us all to keep an open mind and remember to look up. Sarah can be found on Instagram at UFO Girly, where she shares her own footage of UFO sightings right in her backyard. So how's it going?
It's going great, Jahan. Thank you for having me. And actually on Instagram, it is UFO.girly.
Oh my goodness. UFO.girly.
Yes, but on TikTok and YouTube, it's the full-on UFO Girly. So it's okay. I forgive you.
Birdie says, I don't forgive you. He's looking at the screen.
Birdie just looks, he loves you. Look at that. So cute. Oh, gosh.
He's like, how dare you mess
I love him. I know. He's like, come on, Dad.
Yeah. So let's start at the beginning. What was your life like before your spiritual awakening? And what?
Absolutely. So I'm going to just run right through this since we don't have too much time. I'm going to just kind of chop it up a little bit. But I was born and raised in Santa Rosa, California. I always felt different. Born and raised partly in Santa Rosa, California. So most of my childhood, I should say, I was born lived in Santa Rosa, California until I moved to Illinois. But and now I'm in Iowa. But anyway, so as a child, I always felt really different, like an outsider in my own family, around other people. I just always felt like I was like in this dream state and just didn't fit in. I was always a very sensitive child. I knew things about people prior to them even saying anything at all, like whether they were upset, like on the inside, mad, sad, bad, everything like that. I knew about it before they even could say anything. So from a young age, I was very fascinated with the stars, the planets, the universe, especially the constellation, the Pleiades. I really called it the Seven Sisters back then. I didn't know that it was also called Pleiades until later on in life. But I grew up in a household, ever since I could remember, my dad always talking about the paranormal. So I always knew Bigfoot existed. I always knew that UFOs were real and the great ETs, and that ghosts were there, or were here, real. So anyway, my dad we grew up watching the shows and everything like that, like Unsolved Mysteries, Sightings, anything paranormal, anything classified as weird, anything mystical. We were watching it, and those are some of my fondest memories. But I will say I was terrified as a child at night. We had this, since I could feel everything, feel emotions, and I could also feel spirits around other people in my household. So I was very, very terrified as a child from a male presence in my household that would pace like the hallway outside of my room. So he never came into the room. He was just always on the outside. And now that I look back at it, he was just very much a protector. And it wasn't really something to fear, but it scared me as a child. And my brother also actually saw him physically. So that was that. And, but anyway, I was very terrified growing up. Not only the paranormal aspect, but terrified that great ETs were coming to get me. And I just couldn't even sleep by myself. I could never sleep by myself as a child. I would always like start out in my bed and then I would gravitate to mostly my parents' room, but sometimes my siblings' beds as well, because I was just so scared. I was scared to the point I was just sick, you know? And I'm not sure if you want me to talk about my first UFO encounter, craft encounter around this time. I will go ahead and talk about that. But I was around the ages of 9 or 10. And, I had to go and sleep by myself. My sister and I shared a room, and she was actually at a friend's house. She's 3 years older than I am. And she was actually staying the night at a friend's house. So this means I had to start off in my room. And so I was a little bit scared, to go to sleep initially by myself. But anyway, I'm walking into my room and we have this big window out that looks out to the street and the neighbors and everything else. And outside my window, I can see this huge metallic craft. And it has these orange, yellow, and I believe green lights. And they reminded me of almost like Christmas bulbs, like the old Christmas bulbs that you would see. I could see it. It was that close where I can identify the bulb shape and everything else. So it reminded me of those Christmas lights, the old style big bulbs. And as I'm watching this thing, it's rotating, like this as it's floating and gliding through the sky over my neighbor's house, right above my neighbor's house. And 9-year-old me or 10-year-old me, whichever age I was like, okay, trying to rationalize this. In the short time I saw it, I was trying to rationalize, like, okay, what is this? We had this is California. And so there's a lot of police helicopters and things of that nature. So I'm like, okay, it's not a helicopter. I don't see any wings. I don't see a tail. It's a saucer shape. And it's like, I knew exactly what it was though, but my mind was trying to say, no, this is not what it is. You have to dissect it, basically, because your mind always wants to, pen things or, it wants to figure things out. It doesn't want to say that, oh, it's a UFO or a craft or a ghost or whatever. But anyway, I was doing that and thinking about that. And all of a sudden this feeling comes over me and through my body. And it was just a feeling of like, we are here for you. You're safe. You're protected. We mean you no harm, basically, and now that I know that now, it was a telepathic message through thought and feeling. So it wasn't necessarily words. And I think a lot of people think telepathy is words, and it is not. A lot of times it can be, but a lot of times also it is through thought and feeling. So I didn't know that then, but now I do. Anyway, I was like, I just watched it. I just watched it the whole time until it dissipated, until I can no longer see it anymore. And it was just amazing. It was amazing. And I felt very fearless in that moment. I felt like, okay, there's nothing to be scared about. So I was no longer scared about ETs coming to get me because I felt like they were nice and everything like that. And it I go downstairs in the morning and I was very excited. And I remember my mom's on the phone and the landline phones. And, we're, I'm like a kid and I'm like, mom, 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 like trying to bug her, like, guess what I saw? Guess what I saw? And, I was like, I saw a UFO, and that's what we called it because that's what we saw on the shows. It wasn't like a craft; it was a UFO. So I said I saw a UFO, and I was telling my dad, and blah blah, and they just kind of like, just kind of brushed it off, like, oh, she's watching way too many shows, And I would draw pictures of it, and they still kind of brushed it off, like, and I understand that. So what I did is I buried that experience. I always kept it in the back of my mind, though. Like for later on in life, if someone was to bring something up or an experience up, I would also say, yes, I had this experience as a child, da da da. So anyway, fast forward, life happens. I get into we moved to Illinois and I get into lots of drugs and alcohol and all types of different shenanigans. And I think a lot of star seeds, they go through that phase, a lot of empaths, they go through that. So anyway, I'm in a lot of toxic and traumatic relationships and all kinds of negative stuff surrounding me. I knew better though. Consciously I did, but that's all I knew. It's all I knew. Growing up, it's all I knew was toxicity, and alcohol and everything like that. So I'm going to fast forward to 2014. I was in a romantic relationship at the time, and this is when I had my awakening, brought on by a traumatic event. And I won't get too much into that, but the awakening, if you've ever had one or you know of anybody who has ever had one, like really flipped my whole life upside down. Like, I lost everything. And, I started seeing spirits. I started, interacting with my angels and guides. I actually saw my 3 guides in front of me. They told me soon I would learn. I didn't learn for quite some time because I still resisted. Even after seeing my 3 guides in front of me, I still resisted. I was still trying to drink and all that other stuff, trying to be the old me, and it just was not working out. It just was not working out. And they told me, my angels told me, and my guides also, and I think of them as my spiritual team, which consists of angels, guides, ETs, all of that, and ascended masters. So they were telling me, if you get sober, like they were trying to shake me, like physically shake me, if you get sober, your life is going to be amazing. They were trying to tell me this. But anyway, so fast forward to 2020, 6 years after my awakening, I have gotten sober at this point. I'm starting to really, make some progress in healing my past wounds, healing my childhood traumas, and just really trying to, I was doing readings and all this other stuff as well. So, anyway, I'm now this psychic and intuitive empath. So yeah, around 2020, so it was 2020, is when I started to notice I was already isolated, and COVID had already isolated people, but I was already used to that kind of stuff. But in 2020, we were particularly isolated, and it didn't bother me none. I was like, oh, good, whatever. It doesn't bother me. But I was really becoming overly fixated on extraterrestrials, abductees, their stories, anything like that. So the stars in the sky, the universe again, I was really like, had this feeling of I needed to learn so much about the different races, abductee stories, like I said, just a bunch of stuff. So one day I was like, watching something on YouTube, and I heard this message, and it said, keep your eyes on the sky. And I was like, oh, okay. I kind of do anyway, but I'm going to acknowledge that and say, yes, okay. So anyway, like a week later or a few days later, I'm taking my dog out with my youngest daughter, who is 19 now. And so my youngest daughter and I were taking my dog out in my apartment building in the back. So there's this hill in the back of my apartment building. We go up the hill, and we're standing on that hill. She's going to the bathroom, and I see movement coming out of my right eye. And I look up, and it's this huge, what I know now is a Galactic Federation ship. It's cloaked. It's in the shape of an actual, like, all I could describe it as, and someone gave me this description. It looked like a skyscraper shape, but it's on this, but it's going this way instead of up, and it doesn't have the antenna. So it's just a skyscraper like shape craft. And it was cloaked on the inside. You could not see the inside. And I'm looking at my daughter. I said, oh my God, Caitlin, do you see that? And she's like, yes, what is that? And as soon as both of us acknowledged that it was there, it started to fade out. So I'm like, okay, something's really happening here. I don't know what it is. As soon as I see that, I get flashbacks of like when I was young, seeing the craft over my neighbor's house. So I'm like, that's got to be them. I'm really starting to think about stuff. And I didn't want to tell anybody this experience just yet because I didn't know really what was happening. I was already looking crazy enough after my awakening. People just were like, what happened to her? Going from this drug addict, alcoholic, I was always very spiritual, but not on the outside. I never said it on the outside, but people were really like, oh, she is crazy. Do you know what happened to her? Like all these, I just had to get rid of all my social medias for a long time because people were just like, what happened to you? Like people are saying you went crazy, like just everything like that. It was very hard. But anyway, so we see that ship, and like I said, I was just thinking about stuff. I didn't tell anybody just yet what was happening. So I continue on, and about 2 to 3 weeks later, I'm taking my dog out again, and I see movement coming out of my left eye. And this is just right out of my door, my apartment building door. It's about 10:30 p.m. at night. No one's out there, and which is a very busy apartment complex. So that's really surprising in itself. And I was out there taking my dog out, and I had the door cracked, and my daughter's in the living room. And all of a sudden, I see these 5 crafts, like they're actual crafts, like the actual, disc shape, but they're cloaked. But they're 5. They're all like perfectly spaced apart, and probably about the size of a car, but they're further away. It looks like it's over the apartment buildings across the way from me, adjacent to me, but it's really hard to tell distance. But anyway, they were starting to come, and I saw them, and I yelled out to my daughter, my 19-year-old daughter. She's now 19, but my youngest daughter at the time. And I was like, Caitlin, come down here. I didn't have my phone because I was just going out to take my dog to the bathroom in the front yard. And I'm yelling at her to get down here. And she comes down, and she just happens to have her phone with her. And I was like, record it, start recording, that. And she's like fumbling with the phone because she sees these things in the sky. She's extremely nervous. It made her very nervous, and she's like fumbling, and she's trying to record. It won't let her actually record. So that right there is, I believe they manipulated the phone so she could not actually record them, but she was able to take a picture, and on that picture was just this big ball of light. It did not, the ones we saw did not have any kind of light source whatsoever. So it was just like a shadowy craft. It was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. But anyway, so this is like a very significant moment in my journey. This night was. So that happened. I go to sleep that night. I have readings the next day at the shop because I'm working 4 10-hour shifts, third shift. And I'm also, any kind of free time I have, I'm also, doing readings at my house, doing energy healings, and then also doing readings at a shop. So this was a Friday night, and I was going into the shop on Saturday morning. And I wake up on Saturday morning, and I was just distraught. I knew right away that I had received messages and downloads, and they told me that I was their family. And the feeling, I cry, but during that, because it was so emotional. But the feeling is like, it was like, if a long lost family member came into your life and just abruptly left, somebody that you didn't know existed, came into your life with so much unconditional love and then left abruptly. So I went into full on grieving mode after that. It was like this hole I've always felt, this longing for my true family. I love my family now. I love my family, my earth family. But it was like my true family came into my life. This hole that I had been feeling for as long as I can remember was finally complete. Like, I felt complete. And then they just left me again. They left me. I felt like they left me to grieve, and I really grieved, and I cried, and I was just very distraught. Like, I was very confused. I didn't know what was happening. I didn't know this could even happen. I didn't know who to talk to. Throughout my whole awakening, it was early in 2014, and now it's 2020, and people they're coming out with spiritual stuff, but it's still not very out there. Do you know what I mean? It is, but I couldn't find the right people, and that was for a purpose. So, so I can learn on my own, basically, learn from experience, basically. And so anyway, I am like, okay, this is happening. This is really happening. So I can continue on with my life, and I start having more and more experiences, and there I'm waking up in the middle of the night and I'm hearing beings speak to me in my head, and teaching me about humanity. But I'm not allowed to remember what that is. So one night I woke up, and this is between the stages of wake and stage one, that hypnagogic stage where you're kind of like just a little bit awake, you're aware of things a little bit, but you're in trying to go to sleep. You know what I mean? And so when I wake up, and my consciousness is awake, but I'm hearing this female extraterrestrial who is a reptilian. I just came out with that in my other podcast because I felt like I didn't want to say reptilian for the longest time, but now I feel safe, like I can say it. But anyway, this was a female extraterrestrial speaking to me, and then the next time it was a male. So it was like a Q&A. Like my consciousness was sitting in this room, and there's these two beings, reptilian Pleiadian beings. They come from the Pleiades, and they are speaking to me. And it's like, complete knowledge, telling me about stuff. And the whole time I'm telling myself, you remember this, you have to remember this, because I can't get out of this state. I'm so sleepy, So I'm trying to remember it. And I wake up the next morning and I can't remember it. I remember what happened, but I don't remember a word they said, not anything. And that's for a specific purpose as well. So my awake consciousness isn't allowed to know, but it's stored in my subconscious for later use, which I believe is this time coming. So around this time also, I began having dreams of being on a craft and all that stuff. And I'm also, I experienced a gray ET in my room that paralyzed me. And so I'm having all these different experiences, and I'm just like kind of freaking out because I really don't have anyone to talk to about this at all. I tried to say something to the shop owner, and she just kind of laughed at me. So right there, I was like, I'm not going to share this stuff. She just laughed at me, and she was just, what? Like, that's crazy. Like thinking I was crazy, and I was like, okay, I'm just going to keep my mouth shut about this. This is happening, and I know it's happening. I know all this stuff is real. I also had missing time with that gray ET incident. It's about an hour missing time. But anyway, I was having these experiences, these telepathic exchanges and emotions that would come over me, the emotions of absolute unconditional love. And I can see why people would call them angelic. When they see them in the sky, they call them angels. And it's because they really feel like angelic. The same feeling I get off them is the same feeling I will feel off my angels. It's pure unconditional love. But anyway, I was having all these experiences, and at the time I'm going through a rough time with my spiritual awakening. Things are coming back up. I'm getting, now that I know that they're here, I'm like, take me away from here. It's too hard. I don't want to be here on this planet. I was telling them, I would speak out loud to them. And of course they know Birdie. I'd be really speaking out loud to them in my head, about not wanting to be on this planet. I was just tired of it. When you are sensitive and you're an empath and a starseed, it's very tough here if you don't know how to navigate it, which I didn't know at the time. I didn't know how to ground myself still. I didn't know any of these things. And even though I was on a healing journey, it was just extremely hard. I was very unhappy, at this time. So what they did was they stopped coming. And for a year and a half, they did not come except for one time, and that was to keep me safe from something. I didn't know it was them at the time. Now I do. But they didn't want me to go past the cemetery. So they showed me in the sky, and gave me a telepathic message not to go past the cemetery. And that is the only time they came in the year and a half that they were gone. And the message I received was that I would even try to do CE5 to get them to come back, and they kept telling me, like, you have to ground yourself to this planet. Like, you have to want to be here or we're not going to come back. You really have to work on yourself. You can't rely on us. That's basically, and that's a message also for humanity, is we can't rely on them to heal us and to do things for us, right? We have to do it ourselves. They're here helping. We don't know how. They are helping in ways. I mean, I know how, but just because we can't see it does not mean that they are not assisting humanity. They are. But anyway, they were telling me all this stuff. Like, so I said, oh, okay, I'm going to work on myself. I'm going to ground myself, whatever that was, because I didn't know. And it's just like kind of like breadcrumbs that they give you. You can't do everything at once. You got to take baby steps or the little breadcrumbs, that they give you. So I was slowly starting to ground myself, starting to actually like it here on this planet. I was meditating every day, and I still do meditate every day. And I was starting to journal, and I'm starting to do all these things. And I'm really starting to feel amazing without them being here. I always wondered, but I was okay. Like, if they didn't come back, I told myself, I'm fine. I'm fine now. I know they're there. And if I don't see them again, maybe that was for a reason. Maybe they were just trying to help me, be a better person, step into my mission, maybe, all these things. And so I just went on with my life. I got my dream job, which was being a medical traveler, and I still do that to this day. So I travel, different locations and different states and work at a hospital there. But anyway, in 2023, I was on assignment. I got an assignment to go to Minnesota, and I did not want to go. I'll tell you, I did not want to go. It was negative. This was in the dead of winter. So it was negative 30, there. And I was like, no, I'm not going. I'm not going. And I'll tell you, maybe I didn't tell a lot of people this. There's tons of experiences that I still have not told people. But anyway, so I'm sitting there and I'm trying to I was literally at my third shift job, and I'm sitting here trying to ask in my head, should I take this job? They offered me the Minnesota job, and I was like, gosh, I don't know, I don't want to do it. And then all of a sudden, this peace came through my entire body and was like, you're going to be fine. And I didn't know at the time that that was them as well. So, you're going to be fine. Everything's going to be okay. Go ahead and take the job. So I took that job. And like I said, it's in the dead of winter. It's in the negatives, and it's just me. I can't, this is 10 hours away from where I live in Illinois at the time. And so my daughters were teenage, they're homeschooled, and so my oldest daughter would watched my youngest daughter, and my youngest daughter watched my dog. So it was just me in Minnesota. And that was also for a reason too, so I could grow even more by myself in complete isolation, besides going to work in that. And anyway, I'm getting myself adapted in Minnesota, and I always keep the blinds open. I kept the blinds open. I'm in the middle of nowhere. I'm surrounded by 3 reservations. It's a little town up north called Bemidji. If anybody knows where that is, but it's really cold and there's lots of snow. But anyway, so I'm in my little tiny apartment on the outskirts of Bemidji. So in the middle, there's not a lot of people around whatsoever. There's like these little clusters of little 1-story ranch style, like little apartments. And it's just elderly people that live around me. So they're already in bed practically, So it's about 3 a.m. I stay up late because I'm a third shifter and I had to work the next day. So I just stay up late. I have all kinds of odd hours so that I sleep. But anyway, I was about to go to sleep, about to close my iPad. I had it in a case and I was about to close it. And I have the lights out, and all of a sudden I see this, or I'm like closing my eyes. And as soon as I try to close my eyes just a little bit, I see this huge flash, and it like ricocheted off the side of the house. I see it. My blinds are open because it helps me connect, makes me feel connected to the sky and the stars and them, So I see it and I'm like, what was that? It's a clear sky out. And I see it's not lightning. It can't be lightning. So I'm kind of wondering about it, and nothing happens. So I go to sleep. I see that flash and I go to sleep. The next 3 nights I'm working, I'm working at my job, and the next night I was off, same routine. I'm up at 3 a.m. And I'm on the iPad and I'm actually watching another experiencer. I'm just casually watching because, maybe one day mine will come back, and I'm just watching. I forget about what happened the other night, and I get to close my iPad, and I didn't even get to lay down yet. I think at this second time, when I saw another flash, and this time it was in the sky. It was like someone was taking a picture of me in the sky. And immediately I remember the same flash that happened, that I saw when they told me not to go into the cemetery. It was the same exact flash. So I hopped up and I was like, oh my God, I just knew this had to be them. I just knew. So I see the flash and I say, do that again. And it flashes again. This is like right outside my window, right in the sky. It was close, very close. And I said, oh my God, do that again. And they did it again. And this time they allowed me to see the craft behind it. So this was like it was a bronze color craft. It wasn't like a silver, a metallic, but it was a bronze metallic craft. And I was just like, oh my gosh, it's them. I'm so, so happy, and it was so absolutely amazing. And anyway, when I was there in Minnesota, all of the things intensified since that day, since that night. It just went crazy, and they have never left since then. But they told me lots of things, and of course I'm leaving a lot of stuff out because, time purposes and all that stuff. But, yeah, we had this really deep connection. I didn't start filming until 2024. Maybe like a few videos in 2023 after I moved from Minnesota, but with my cell phone crappy, footage. But anyway, like in Minnesota, so many signs and synchronicities, so many telepathic dreams, and them telling me where I was from. They actually told me I was from the constellation Lyra and the star Vega. So I know how crazy that sounds, but when it happens to you, you would understand if you had these experiences. But anyway, yep, they told me I was from the star Vega, and that I was like a Lyran Pleiadian mixture. And all this is very shocking to me, as you can imagine. It's just very crazy to think this. Now I'm full blown, like, yes, I'm a starseed, I don't care who knows that, or I say it all the time because it's my truth, and yeah, so lots of things. They invited me. I know how weird this is going to sound as well. They invited me into the Galactic Federation to be an ambassador here on Earth. And that was through Dream State. And they presented me with a shield that said the Galactic Federation on it. Can't remember what the rest of the shield said. But anyway, do you have any questions? I don't know if I lost you there or not.
No, I'm still listening, and
Okay.
I'd actually like for you to fill in some more of the gaps with the things that you said.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead and be fully transparent with everything. That's the whole purpose.
Oh, okay. So yeah, in Minnesota is where I guess just so much happened. That I mean, so much happened in Minnesota because I was by myself, and I did have a coworker come and see the activity in the sky. And she was just like blown away by it because they really put on a show for her. And if you look at my footage, now you can tell why I get a lot of good footage because this is my mission here on this planet, to bring forth the footage, to bring forth this information for humanity, and to get this out there that this is all real, everything like that. But yeah, so I saw a being while I was there in Minnesota. So this would be my second being out of 3 that I have seen I've seen my guides, but I won't classify them as extraterrestrial. I will classify extraterrestrials as extraterrestrial. And the reason being I say extraterrestrial is because instead of angels or anything, because that's what they told me to classify them as. Anyway, I'm one night, I'm in Minnesota and I'm outside all the time now. Anytime, I mean, I would even see them getting out of my car or going to my car. They would just be out there. Even me looking out the window, they would sit there and flash at me, you know. And if anyone is, they know if anyone is a sky watcher or anything like that, they know what those flashes are, and or what they look like. And I have many videos of them as well. But anyway, so I'm seeing all this stuff and I'm really trying to, and they're communicating to me through dreams and everything. And I'm really, really trying to communicate with them. And I keep saying, I would like to see you. I was telling them this stuff. I would like to see you. I want you to come closer, things of that nature. I wasn't prepared for it to actually happen. So I don't know why I wasn't prepared because I was asking for it. But when it happens, it's very different. So I was outside and like I'm full on layers of clothing on. I have hand warmers and I decided I wanted to get a cheap pair of, they already told me not to like film them at that time, that was for me only. That was like for me, like a special moment for us. Because anytime I would try to grab for the phone, it would be like, no, I just couldn't. It was so special to me. And I didn't want to really share it with anybody yet. Because they really make you feel like you're the most important person in the world. That's how they made me feel. And anyway, I'm outside and I have this cheap pair of night vision goggles that I got from Amazon. I just wanted they don't record or anything. It's just a cheap pair. I just wanted to see if I can see them better, in the sky, like see maybe a craft or see something that they weren't showing me, that I couldn't see with my regular vision. And so I have this cheap pair of goggles and all of a sudden I hear something coming. There's like this wooded area. It's a small wooded area, and I'm not very far from it. It's probably like I'm not good at distance, but I would say 50 and a little bit more feet away from me, and it's just like this little patch of woods, and I hear something coming in the woods. It's like footsteps. It's not like a deer or an animal, or this thing is like big and it's like stomping, like not stomping, but it's like you can hear the 2 feet or whatever. And I'm all my hair is standing up. My body just gets engulfed in this fear. And I was just like, oh my God, what is that? And I felt them so close to me. I could feel them. Like, I was just like, oh my God, it's got to be them. It's got to be them in the woods, and I can feel multiple, but I only saw one. So the thing, it stops and I can't really see anything because it's pitch black without my night vision. So I turn the camera or the goggles where I hear it stop, and there is a tall being, ET. And I completely freaked out. I completely freaked out. I ran inside and I said, "Oh my God, I'm not ready yet." I was telling them I'm just not ready yet, you know? And I'm sitting there like pacing, like doing this on the couch. And I'm like, I can't believe this is happening right now. So I told myself, get it together, you know? You asked for this, so go out there. So I go back out there. It's still there. And I run back in again and then say, I just can't. Because the feeling that went through me was fight or flight. Like wasn't, I'm not in danger, but it was just engulfed in fear. And what I found out, even though that meeting was not supposed to be fearful or whatever, what had happened was their frequency is so high that it can cause these kinds of emotions in humans, you know, and it just scared the crap out of me. It scared me very bad. I just, I didn't expect it to happen. I don't know. I was asking for it. And then when it happened, I was a little chicken. And anyway, I just could not face this tall ET. It was too scary for me. And that didn't stop them from coming. He eventually went away, you know, and I apologized and everything. So then they started sending me owls, white owls with a huge wingspan. I mean, it was absolutely crazy, the wingspan. But so much so I have a owl tattooed in my stomach for these owl sightings that they sent me. But yeah, so it's just a magical time. And then in 2024, I mean, I left Minnesota because my job was only 3 months there. But in that 3 months, I mean, so many magical things happened. And they told me, okay, your next location, I was going to Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And they told me, you won't be able to see us as much anymore. And it was heartbreaking for me because of the love that they made me feel. I was like, oh my God, I'm losing them again, you know, but they did show me a lot of stuff, not as much in South Dakota. And that's when I saw my third being. And that I was actually sleeping or trying to go to sleep. And I was very sad. I was very sad because like they weren't coming a lot. Like they already told me this, you know, but it was still very saddening and heartbreaking. So it was just very sad that night. And I was talking to them before bed and, you know, just asking like for them to come in a dream or something. Give me a sign that you're here. Like show me you're here, you know? So anyway, this tiredness like comes over me and this has happened many, many times. Even I've been paralyzed 3 times in my life. With that gray ET, I was paralyzed, but it almost felt like that, but I wasn't fully paralyzed. But anyway, I lay my head down on the pillow. I'm instantly like asleep, and my consciousness, my third eye is awake. And I see this, what I now know is an Octurian being. He like jumped into the window that was in my bedroom in South Dakota. He like jumped into the window and he had a space suit on, and he was very funny. Like his personality was very excited, very happy, playful. But he had a bluish tint, and then his head, and it was a male presence. To me, it was male. And he had this big big head and, the spacesuit. And that was like a dark blue spacesuit. And it was like skin tight, but I can tell the difference between his skin because it had a collar as well. So it's like a little collar, but then the blue kind of shiny spacesuit. But he jumps in and it makes me jump, So I jump out of bed because it scared me. So, because you don't expect something to jump into your window, but I was so excited. I was like, please do that again. I'm going to try to go back to sleep. Come in my dreams again. Do that again. I want to see you. I was so happy that they were there, and the second time, I laid my head back down and I'm instantly, third eye open again. And then this ball of light, it's like this white, bright light comes from outside of the window and comes all the way in. The window's closed, mind you. The blinds are open, window is closed, but comes flying through the window, goes through the window without even nothing, goes right through the window and hits me right in the third eye. And that was just absolutely amazing. So anyway, a lot of that kind of stuff happened. They showed up to me in clouds, which I have pictures, they showed me like, I have a picture of a metallic sphere and ET faces, when they told me to take a picture of them. And I had a sonic boom flash in South Dakota without the sonic boom, of course. It was just a humongous flash and then a owl come out of that flash. It was crazy. I know it sounds nuts. But anyway, so some things happen in South Dakota. But then I was starting to kind of use my cell phone a little bit, because they were, every once in a while, they would come over the house. And I recorded it with a cell phone, but I wasn't planning on doing what I'm doing now, and so I moved to Minnesota or Missouri, and they told me you're going to see us a lot more there. It's less dense, there's more area. You're just going to be able to see us more there, and we want you to start filming professionally, like, not professionally, but professionally with not the phone. So I get to Missouri and Columbia, Missouri. And that's where I capture, I don't know if you know that I'm on Paranormal, caught on camera with the Travel Channel. And if you saw that episode, it is, that's where they gave me that footage of the zigzagging UFO craft. It zigzags and stops and starts and, it's doing all this fabulous stuff. But they showed me Chris Bledsoe in order to get the camera. So I don't know if you know who Chris Bledsoe is. If not, I'm sure if you were watching this and you are in this community, the UFO community, you have heard of Chris Bledsoe. But anyway, very humble, amazing guy, does a lot for this community. But they showed me him. I didn't know anything about him, but I was asking them, okay, well, you need to tell me like what camera to get. Because I was looking at the Gen 3s, which were like $4,000. And they were like, no, we don't want you. That's not the one. And I said, well, you got to show me, this is all telepathic, by the way. And they're just like, I was like, well, you got to show me which one. And they showed me Chris Bledsoe, and he had a Psionics camera, color night vision camera. And I said, okay, well, give me the money for it. And I will tell you, I know all of this sounds very, very strange, but that's just how my life is, full of strangeness and weird stuff, synchronicities, signs, all that. but I had the money. And I mean, it was like it may be a week, it may have been 2 days. I don't know how long it was in between the time. So I bought the camera and they give me the footage. So I think anybody that sees my footage knows that I have a connection, and yeah, that's pretty much the story.
That is just so wild because
It is.
no, I'll tell you really how wild it is, because when you started talking about your experiences then in seeing the being and all that, the center of my forehead just started feeling an immense amount of pressure. And as you were talking, I could actually see what you were talking about.
Oh my gosh.
And it was like I was here just trying to like keep calm because it was like smacking me.
That's incredible.
So obviously, well, I know that, like I've jokingly said to you, like nobody's talking to me, but I'm doing this podcast because these things need to come out. That's my purpose of doing it. So sometimes when people are talking, I see a lot of stuff in my mind's eye, but it doesn't really happen with that intensity to where it felt like there was pressure building, like when you got like a sinus issue or something. Right now, my head actually is hurting a little bit, just coming down off of that.
Oh, wow.
So
yes.
It's like the energies and stuff. Yeah, the energies and stuff can be intense. But I wanted
They are.
Yeah. I don't know if you can hear him grunting. He's grunting too.
Oh, little birdie.
All of my animals have reactions to energy in different ways, and I think that's one of their many, that's one of their many purposes for being around, because they see a lot of different stuff and react differently. I have white doves too that
oh my gosh,
protect me from negative energy.
I love that.
Yeah. So anyways, you mentioned paralysis and time distortion and feeling fear. And have you ever felt any energy that was so overwhelming that you had what felt like a panic attack, but it wasn't? Perhaps some type of radical change to your consciousness that was happening? Okay, I've had that happen to me before. I've had that. I went through a phase. I think we went through our awakening at the same time. A lot of us actually specifically reference 2014 for a reason. And a lot of us are telling the same stories, and a lot of us are having the same visions, dreams, etc. And a good portion of my story as well. But things like that would happen to me too. Like out of nowhere, I just have a panic attack, and I just not be able to hold it. I would have to lay on the floor and stuff like that.
Yeah, I actually had to go to the emergency room.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know it at the time that what was happening to me was an actual attack on me. I didn't know that the spirits, I know this is probably something else because I've had a lot of paranormal happenings to me and a lot of attacks.
No, talk about it, because that's why I'm bringing this up. I want to normalize the stuff that you're talking about, so we don't have to continue things as this is strange. Like, this is just normal.
Yeah, it is. It's normal for me. I mean, it was normal for me. Now my vibration is tons higher, but I was physically attacked in my parents' house by entities. So I had to go. I all of a sudden, this feeling of exactly what you said, a complete panic attack, dread, thought I was going to die. All this, I was almost ready for work. I'm getting ready for work, and all of a sudden it hits me. This complete, utter panic. I panic so much that my face starts going numb. And of course, that makes you panic even more. And I'm literally on the floor. I can't breathe because I'm hyperventilating, and I feel like I'm suffocating, and my sister gets home because I'm watching her daughter, who was very small at the time. And we have our, so I stay home during the day with her, and then we exchange her. Then I go to work, And because my parents also work, and I was living there at the time. And walks in, and she sees me on the floor having this panic attack. I'm like, feel like I'm physically being pushed. And I don't think I told many people about this either. This is something I really haven't brought up for some reason. And, because no one's asked maybe. And yeah, I was just, I had to go to the emergency room. And as soon as I got out of the neighbor, my sister called the neighbor. The neighbor came and got me and put me in her car. And as soon as I left that house, I was starting, like, the feeling started coming back in my face. The dread was off of me, and then I was also paralyzed twice in my sleep there. But that was after my awakenings. So lots of things with spiritual entities trying to attack me and distract me off of this mission that I'm on right now. I was very close to dying at one point. At least I felt like with what happened with my traumatic event that actually awakened me. That was actually an attack as well, a physical attack. Someone attacked me, and I saw his eyes go completely black, right in front of me. And he headbutted me, and right in the third eye. But it's the best thing that ever happened to me. So all forgiveness there. And yeah. Anyway, but yeah, that stuff happens. That stuff happens. It doesn't happen anymore to me because, like I said, I've done a lot of inner work, a lot of spiritual work. I don't drink anymore. I've been sober for about 8 years or so. No drugs, not even, my diet is very clean. It is all plant-based, no gluten, soy, nothing like that. So, they taught me that actually, and it's going to be different for everybody. That's just what they taught me to keep my channel clear. So yeah, stuff like that does not happen to me anymore because my vibration is higher. So yeah.
Yeah, well, the way that I eat too, people are like, "Oh, so you're a vegan?" And I'm like, "No, I just don't eat these specific things." And again, like I was forced to stop eating meat and those kinds of things. My body would have physical reactions. Like no more caffeine because it's putting a limit on your consciousness. And I preach sobriety.
I still drink a little coffee.
Right. Some people do. Some people.
Yeah, they allow me to have a little coffee. Not a lot. Not a lot.
Yeah.
Just a few sips here and there. Because that's what happens. But they do allow that for me, I believe, because I was such an alcoholic. That, I don't know, it just helps me too. Having the little bit of coffee each day. And like I said, it's not much, like a cup and a half, maybe. Like today, I didn't even have probably a full cup. It was just like taking a sip out of the bottle a little bit, the plastic bottle of cold brew or something, I'll just have a sip of it. And I put it back in the fridge, Yeah. No creamer, nothing, just a few sips here and there.
Yeah, I would have to say that, they just want us to be sober. And people don't understand that sober means different things, and that we live in a very overdo it type society with everything. And
everything. We
cannot harness the power of our consciousness with all those different things that are bothering the brain, And people,
it's true. Bothering the channel. Yeah, the channel within us. Yeah, it's
reject you when you say this kind of stuff, and I think that we're probably going to come to a time where the stuff that we're saying is commonplace. It's
yes,
when we're expecting it, But then a lot of people are going to be like, okay, yeah, you weren't as crazy as you sounded back then. I'm like, okay, yeah, well.
Oh, I don't even care anymore. I really don't. I mean, I am so transparent now with everything because I just don't care what people think about me or about my story. It's all 100% real deal. 100% real deal. A lot of people are going to start having these experiences if they're not already. So be prepared. You know, this is not like the old times. This is welcome to the new earth that we're having. So, it's going to, in the next 8 to 10 years, is going to be a huge influx of personal experiences. They're going to be contacting people personally like they did me. I'm just a way shower. That's just what I'm doing right now is way showing and showing people and getting my story out there. And I also, I don't know if you mind or not. I can bring my show. I have my own show. I didn't know if that was okay or not, but I have my own show. I even do that every Wednesday live on Instagram now. And you are also a part of that. But yeah, I'm doing that. I'm doing podcasts all the time. Any kind of podcast, if someone asks me, depending on their vibration, I will say, I will do the podcast and just to speak about it, because it just takes one person to see this and start thinking, oh my gosh, what if she is telling the truth? What if this is real? Oh, I saw something in the sky. It takes that just one person. And if it helps one person, that's enough, that's enough for me.
Yeah, it's true. So tell me about your experience that you shared with Geraldine Orozco.
Oh my goodness. Well, I haven't told people about her yet. But since she's going to be a guest, I will actually say that. I kind of did that on purpose where I just kind of flew past that. But okay. So in the beginning, when I started having the dreams, okay, and I really didn't know who she was. I saw a little documentary about her, like maybe a few months earlier. Like I recognized her from that documentary. So anyway, when I started having dreams in 2020, but I think that was 2020. Let me see. Yeah, it was around 2020, 2021. When I was having the dreams, and my very first dream that I can recall, I went to sleep and then my consciousness is on this craft. I know I'm on a craft and I can see this light everywhere and it looks like a ring light, the light coming off the ring light, but there's no light source. So it's just white everywhere. And it's a big open space, but I know my consciousness knows that I'm on this craft and I'm completely freaking out. I'm just freaking out. I know I'm freaking out. Like I can feel the fear and everything over me and I see nobody. And then all of a sudden someone comes in through the doorway. So they come in through the doorway and, this is a brunette. And as she gets closer, I recognize her. I recognize her as being Geraldine. And she immediately starts hugging me and telling me, it's okay. It's okay. You're safe here. Like you have been here before. Don't you remember? She's telling me, don't you remember? You have been here before and you're safe. And she's just calming me down and her energy and vibration is so strong and so amazing that it just calms me. and I don't know what else happened, but I wake up and I'm like, no way. you know, I'm like, that was Geraldine. And yeah, when you introduced us, I told her about it because I said, okay, I'm going to leave. I'm never going to say her name. And this is the first time I name dropped it on anywhere, any of the podcasts I've been on. So I said, okay, I'm going to hold that in. And I was instructed, I feel like I was instructed and guided to hold that information in for a specific time, like the other information. But this I could actually remember. I remember her. I know it was her, and I know this was absolutely 100% the real deal. It's because of the emotions I was feeling, and that she was giving off as well. And so anyway, what was I saying about? Okay, so I said you had her on your show. This is years later, by the way. This was in 2020, 2021, and here it is, 2025. And I kept saying, okay, maybe I'll email her or text her. But how weird is that? How weird is that to have someone like drop into your DMs or whatever and say, hey, you helped me on a craft and blah, blah, blah. So I knew it was getting close because I kept seeing her again. Like there was a big gaps where I wouldn't see her at all. And I wouldn't even think about it, about telling her or anything. And then this year, 2025, I started seeing her a lot. And I was like on podcasts, like she did the same. I did Steve Neal's podcast. She did Steve Neal's podcast, and she did one on Jeff Mara also. And I was just like, oh my God. And I saw her somewhere else, and I just like thinking about it. And then I started my show, and then you. And I was looking at some of your stuff, some of your interviews, and I saw that you had her on, and I was just like, no freaking way. There was no even time gap. I instantly messaged you, and you hooked it up, and I emailed her, and I said, or you emailed her with me attached. And I'm not good at telling stories at all, as you can tell, but you emailed her you CC'd me and was like, she wants you, very politely and everything else. You said she wants you on the show and blah, blah, blah. And she was like, of course. And then so I personally messaged her after that, telling her that she personally helped me in her astral body or consciousness, that she helped me on the craft. Because I will tell you, every single experience after that, every single dream, it was, I felt comfortable. I felt safe because of her. So she played a big part in calming me down and getting me prepared for my other dreams and to be walking down corridors with tons of beings and be perfectly okay with it. She played a big part. But anyway, I was like, oh man, she's just going to think I'm crazy. She actually emailed me back and said that she has heard this before, that her students told her that, the same thing. She thinks she's a teacher in the astral and that she does this, And isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? Someone I had I just maybe saw her once on a documentary, didn't even think anything of it, and then here she is in a real lucid dream, And then this happens 5 years later or so at the right time. It's all divinely planned, divinely orchestrated. It's actually such a miracle to me that this, and I was able to tell her. And then now she's going to be on my show. And I can tell everybody, it's just so special to me. Very special to me. So I just want to thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome.
For bringing us together. Because that was truly amazing.
Well, Geraldine's been in my life now for about 4 years or so.
Mm-hmm.
It happened randomly. Just a friend of mine that does conferences and stuff. He's like, hey, listen, hear me out. I want you to talk to this lady, Geraldine. I'm like, who that? I didn't know anything about her at all.
Mm-hmm.
I never knew anything about her. I actually met her, and then I started listening to her after I interviewed her. But Geraldine's the kind of person that she's as authentic as it gets. She is who she is on and off.
Mm-hmm.
And she's one of the few people out there saying similar stuff as you. And you know that she is in no way making this stuff up.
No.
And,
no.
I knew that when you told me all that stuff that you were like borderline freaking out. And I knew that she was going to be like, yeah, that's normal for me.
Yeah. She was like, when she emailed me back that she thinks she's a teacher because many people have said this to her. That was like such a relief for me, because how crazy is that? Because that experience with her really set me up to calm my energy down for the rest of, it just really allowed me to not be so afraid, and I really thank her for that. And I'll be able to tell her personally. And I'm just so excited for that.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to be on that live for that. She's going to be on with me next week. So it's going to be Friday.
Oh my gosh.
It's going to be like 4 or 5 episodes after this. So
yeah. So this one won't come out until later, right? Until after she's, okay, good. Until after the 29th, right?
This is not going to come out until January.
Okay, good.
Tell everybody where they can find you.
Absolutely. So you can find me on Instagram. It's where I do my lives every Wednesday, 7 p.m. Central. It is Go Live with UFO Girly, but the Instagram is ufo.girly. You can find me on TikTok and YouTube also, and that is UFO Girly. And then on Facebook, it is Sarah UFO, because they don't allow you to do UFO Girly. I do Sarah UFO there. And yes, that's where you can find me.
Awesome.
And you can message me if you need anything. And if you are an experiencer, I would love to have you on my show, and I'm sure Jehan would love to have you on his show.
Yeah, absolutely. So Sarah, thanks for being on the Boundless Authenticity Birdcast.
Yes. Oh, how cute.
We will talk again soon.
Absolutely. Okay.
You're listening to the Boundless Authenticity Podcast, where we discuss everything related to the evolution of human consciousness.
At the very least, people need to understand that the United States builds bunkers, which are basically cities underground, every 3 months.
Basically, when you dream, you tap into your subconscious. It is your nocturnal intuition, your creativity and imagination unchained from conscious reason, ego and logic.
They're biologically alive, but they have no soul. They have AI consciousness. They can alter your conscious and the brain to get the brain.
We live in a multidimensional reality, whether it comes through esoteric information in the spiritual realms, or the UFO people, experiencers, or mainstream through quantum physics and through mainstream science now realizing that parallel dimensions probably exist.
We're all spiritual beings. We're all having these human experiences. We've heard that phrase over and over and over. But what does that
that really mean? You know, all the big questions of life, we have these answers inside of our souls.
We're ultimately studying the nature of what it is to be human, good and evil, our psychology, how we think, and our health. That's why I love Bruce Lee's great quote, all knowledge is ultimately self-knowledge.
The Boundless Authenticity Podcast.